It is going to take me some time to parse through Harry's statements made today in court and the media coverage of them. But I want to take a stroll down memory lane and show parts of videos you might have missed if you're new here, because I think it really illustrates why Prince Harry is so distrustful, and honestly, rightly so. Because not only were there concerns of hacking and leaking, but also his father's private secretary, as well as Camilla's, colluding with the press and throwing Harry under the bus. And imagine having to deal with all that as a young teen who has recently lost their mom. In part 1 of Spare, Prince Harry talks at length about the time that News of the World ran an article about Harry being a drug taker, going to rehab, etc. What I found interesting while doing some research on Camilla Parker Bowles is that Mark Boland mentions this in his 2003 interview with The Guardian. The information I'm going to present is from this 2003 article with Mark Boland. Quote, "The genesis of another tabloid story offers an intriguing window on the Boland-Wade-Brooks axis in operation. It is the News of the World report on Harry's drugs of shame, which appeared over 7 pages of the newspaper in January 2002. So this is how Boland tells it now after the fact. He said they'd been wrestling consistently with News of the World for over 9 months on stories about William and drinking and or drugs, all of which weren't true, and Harry. There's apparently a particular incident that summer in Spain. Photographs allegedly showed Harry in a drunk or drugged state. News of the World wanted to run with it. The comms office said it was untrue and that any witness statements were false. So Mark thinks this provokes News of the World to take a closer look at Harry. According to Mark, they launched this huge investigation and their evidence is compelling. We had to make a choice. Did we fight again to stop these allegations appearing in the newspaper, or did we accept that the News of the World was going to print something and make the best of it?" Quote, "Boland chose the latter and told the paper about a visit that Harry had made to a drug rehabilitation center in South London during the summer. Charles had supposedly arranged the visit to give his son a shock lesson on the potential consequences of drug taking." Basically what they say, it's a simple idea. You turn a negative story into a positive. It becomes a tale of a father who's enlightened and he's trying to help his wayward teenager. And the News of the World was happy to oblige. One problem though. It wasn't true. Quote, "In fact, Harry had visited Featherstone Lodge in midsummer, late June or July, according to Boland's recollection. But the evidence of Harry's drug taking and drinking was gathered by the News of the World team later, nearer August or September. In order to fit its revelations into the neat, redemptive narrative supplied by Boland, the News of the World had moved them forward by several months, reporting that during a 2-month period covering June and July 2001, Prince Harry fell in with a bad lot." Quote, "Boland now admits that the sequence of events in the story was distorted, but says that was the fault of the News of the World's overzealous attempts to be helpful." Helpful to who? Katz tried reaching out to Wade and she refused to comment, along with News of the World. And Harry does surmise in his book that part of the reason that the story leaked the way it did was to improve his father's reputation. But the fact that Boland admits to manipulating a storyline with News of the World to fit this narrative of Harry taking drugs and going to rehab. He was a teenager. I mean, it's gross to do to anyone, but like, my God. And just as a refresher of some of the players involved.
To the whiteboard. We have Camilla and Charles, who are not yet married, but they are using the services of Mark Boland. He's the private secretary for Charles, but really in charge of Camilla's media image rehab. Mark Boland, well, his longtime partner and now husband is Guy Black. Guy Black works for the PCC, near the tippy top. And who are Mark Boland and Guy Black friends with? Rebecca Brooks, then Wade, who is the editor for News of the World. They even went on vacation together. So one could look at this and say, yeah, maybe there were some deals going on between the PCC, News of the World, the Palace, about this Harry story, about drinking and drugs. But I think it's another potentially sad example of no one thinking about the teenager.
To add on to that, Rebecca Wade worked under the tutelage of Piers Morgan, who became a good friend. It's one disgusting cesspool. So again, not only is there concern of hacking as a way to obtain information on Prince Harry, but also the fact that staff may be in on it to bolster the image of others. I will look more into what happened in court today and then again tomorrow, but I just wanted to remind everyone of that information.